John, thank you so much for participating in our 2022 WhistleStop political rally. By purchasing an interview, you have allowed our chamber to educate the citizens of Polk County about the upcoming election and the issues and candidates on the ballot. Thank you for participating. Since your campaign has purchased this video interview, the Florida Division of Elections does require you to disclose that fact with the following statement.
This ad is paid for and approved by John Flynn for Judge Group 8.
Thank you. And with no further ado, we'll kind of dig into some questions. So to start, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was in law school in New Orleans in 2001. I was studying for tax law. That's what I thought I was going to do for a living. Around that time, I took an internship with the Jefferson Parish DA's office. I got in a courtroom. I realized I enjoyed doing this and was good at it. I kind of threw the tax law thing out the window, became a trial attorney. I came down here in 2002, met with Mr. Hill, who at the time was the chief prosecutor in Polk County. When I met with Mr. Hill, he offered me a job on that day. I took that job that same day. No negotiation, no anything. I knew I wanted to be a prosecutor at that time. I worked for him for 3 years. I started out running the Lakeland branch, or that was my second step, but I moved to the Lakeland branch where I ran that branch, and they had 4 judges rotating at that time. They would rotate divisions through Lakeland. So I got to see what every county court judge did. I got to learn different styles and learn different methods. After which I started my own firm. I've been practicing at that for about 16 years, and I feel like I've done very well. We've been successful with regard to that. And during that time, I volunteered for the Florida Bar in several ways. I went through the grievance committee. I was the chair of that, where we would oversee wrongdoings by other attorneys, everything from trust accounts to just simply not doing their jobs. We'd make recommendations to the Florida Bar, and we would make recommendations to the Supreme Court on how to deal with these people. I also worked with the UPL committee. That is the unauthorized practice of law. That one is one that is people are holding themselves out to be attorneys that aren't. You know, they put solicitor outside their door and they do divorces and really ruin people's lives. They take advantage of the elderly and the poor, really. Then I volunteered for teen courts, where I presided as a judge for those proceedings. Now, teen court's a great program. It gives kids a chance to have made their one mistake, get punished for it, but not become a criminal. 2015, I had my daughter. I decided might be time to start looking at other things. I've run my own law firm. It was fun. It was profitable, but I wanted to serve in a different way after having her. Now it's 7 years after having her, and I'm ready to run for judge. And I believe that my temperament, my knowledge of the law, would make me a very effective judge. After 20 years after moving here, I'm now ready to serve as your next judge.
Well, thank you. I love hearing all of the backstories of how everybody came to Winter Haven and to Polk County area. They're a lot of fun. So what do you believe are the greatest strengths of Polk County's judicial system?
Well, the thing that I like most about this county, I mean, I grew up in Georgia, spent a lot of time in Charleston. Might be able to hear that. I don't know. It depends on how I'm talking. But they were big cities. You didn't have to see the same people twice. When I practiced law in Louisiana, people would lie to your face. They would lie to the judge. They would lie to the court because they knew they didn't have to come back to that courtroom. When I moved down here, I realized it was different. People here remember. and they remember who they've dealt with and whether or not that person has been honest with them. And I'll tell you, that is a strength because it builds relationships between prosecutors and defense attorneys. When I was a prosecutor, I regularly played golf with defense attorneys. Now that I'm a defense attorney running my own practice, I play golf with prosecutors. I get to know these people, and that's why they can take me at my word. You know, building relationships in this community is one of the greatest strengths that I think Polk County has. Additionally, we have an excellent law enforcement team. We have great leaders like Brady Judd, obviously, Chief Garcia, but Stacy Butterfield and the clerk of courts, really hold this together through the COVID and everything else. They've really fought to keep things going. And the trial clerks are, bar none, some of the best that I've dealt with. We have a great court administration process. We have Nick Cezina running court admin. So you have he goes the extra mile to make sure the attorneys and the judges have what they need to have to be successful in that administration of justice, I should say.
Awesome. So, and I don't want to use the word weaknesses, but we know that every organization has room for growth and that there's other opportunities. So what would you say is Polk County's biggest opportunity within the judicial system?
Okay. When I read that question, I was thinking you were talking about weaknesses. I like the word opportunity. Because what I'd been thinking about was the COVID backlog. Currently, we have divisions that are just overloaded and overwhelmed. We have, one guy in county court dealing with 800 cases or 600 cases. You can't do that. I mean, when I ran Lakeland, we had a total of, I think, 500, and that was more than you should ever have on one person's docket because you need to learn about the nuances. So the opportunity that I think that presents is lowering that case law, getting people their day in court quickly or more quick. Currently, I have 2 DUIs that lasted over 2 years. A DUI that lasted 2 years shouldn't be there. I've practiced in front of every judge in county court. I know how to run a courtroom, and I believe that by electing me, we'll be able to get that backlog starting to work its way down, because from day one, I'm ready to go.
Thank you. And I know, weaknesses and opportunities, I feel like tend to be the same thing, but it's just how you look at it, that every weakness
Well, no, I like that.
presents an
That's a glass
opportunity.
half full kind of, yeah.
So the next question is, what is your vision for the future of Polk County? What changes would you advocate for and why?
Well, as a judge or even a judicial candidate, we shouldn't advocate any changes in the law. The fact of the matter is simple. A judge's job is to follow the law and the Constitution. We should not be activists on the bench. We have a legislature, a governor. We have put these people in a place to make the laws in our state. And if you elect me, I will follow the laws that they have made. I will do that and set aside any misgivings I have with any law, because it's my job to do it. I will swear to uphold the Constitution and the rule of law. I will treat everybody equally and have a very even pace about it. But if people are repeat offenders and criminals, they probably don't want to see me on the bench.
Awesome. So what do you consider to be the biggest challenge of the position that you're running for?
The backlog. The backlog is going to be the challenge. There are so many cases loaded up. I met with the prosecutor after work yesterday. She didn't get out of the courtroom until 5:30 on a pretrial day. That shouldn't be happening. That's simply, we're ready for trial, we have a plea, or we need a continuance. All right, if you have a plea, let's get that done. Let's get that done in a timely manner and move on. But it's the continuances and continuances and continuances that have built up to cause the problem. And a lot of that was legit. I mean, for months we had people, we couldn't go in the courthouse. So if you set a civil law case right now, I think I had one that was just set for 2023. And I told them, or that was set about 6 months ago, actually. And I told them they needed to find another attorney because by that time I'd be on the bench with the support of Polk County, hopefully.
It's a good answer. So why
Thank
should
you.
voters choose you over the other candidates?
Well, I'd say in a word, it's my experience. I mean, I have 20 years in. I've worked on both sides. Starting out as a prosecutor, I know I should say stunts I used to pull, the things that I used to do when I wanted to continue something. Or as a defense attorney, I know, I know the difference between a legitimate request to continue something and, hey, I'm just waiting to get paid or whatever else the reason might be. I have been working here for, like I said, 20 years. I've done both sides. I have good personal relationships with everybody. I have the temperament to do the job. I don't get angry easy, but I can control a courtroom. I can make sure somebody stops talking when they need to stop talking, because I promise to listen to the citizens as they come in. But there's a time to speak and there's a time not to, That's the reason things keep going and you get out of court at 6 o'clock because somebody wants to tell you the same thing 25 times. Well, once should be sufficient. After having done everything I've done for the Florida Bar, having run a successful practice for 16 years, I'm ready now, after 20 years, to step into the role of a judge. The people of Polk County won't lose a beat because I will be ready on day one to do everything that needs to be done. I will be excited to do it. I will enjoy it much the same as I did when I first stepped into the criminal trial road back in 2001. I mean, I enjoyed it then. I enjoy it now. But when you're trying a case, you're always anticipating whether you're defense or you're the state. If you're the state, you're waiting for the defense to go too far to object. If you're the defense, you're waiting for the state to say something they shouldn't, so you can object. Well, I've been doing that for 20 years. I know what objection is coming. I know what objection should be coming, at least. And when somebody makes that objection, I'll be ready to roll on and we'll be moving on. When you come to jury duty, I'll try to make the experience as pleasant as possible and get you out of there as quickly as possible. But we will make sure that everybody has their day in court if they want it. Now, I think that is a solid resume and something that I can hang my hat on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, John.
Thank you very much.